morning, ladies, gentlemen and children, and a special welcome to Miss Anne Stanley, Member of Parliament, Federal Member for Werriwa, Miss Jennifer Ware, Member of Parliament, I was just about to say Federal Member for Hughes, and also Mr Paul Lynch, State Member for Liverpool. And yes, and he's smiling on the front here, it's absolutely fantastic. It's really great to see the community here today. I feel like dancing myself with all that music, it's terrific. My name is Alison Infanti from Liverpool City Council, and I'm here to welcome you on behalf of Liverpool City Council. This is a special occasion for your Montenegrin community, and 10 years has gone by and you've got a lovely park, and since we've had a couple of visits here, seeing the kids with soccer balls, and it's just terrific, and it's a great open space. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today, the Cabral clan of the Darug Nation. We acknowledge that this land was also accessed by the people of the Darawal and Darug Nations. We pay our respects to the elders past, present and emerging. To commence the official proceedings of this 10th anniversary of your Montenegro Park, I would like to invite Miss Jennifer Ware, Federal Member for Hughes, to officially welcome you on behalf of Mayor Manoon. Just sending apologies for our Mayor. He's been held up somewhere else, so Miss Jennifer Ware will take carriage of the opening.
Good morning, thank you, Alison. First of all, I acknowledge my federal parliamentarian member for Werriwa, Anne Stanley, and also my state colleague, Paul Lynch. Thank you. 10 years ago, Liverpool Council declared opening of Montenegro Park to commemorate the people of the area. I'd like to first of all acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet and their ancestors past and present, the Cabral clan of the Darug Nation. I also acknowledge this land was accessed by people of the Darawal and Darug Nations. I welcome everyone here today for what is a joyous occasion. 10 years ago, we unveiled a plaque in this park to mark the contribution of the Montenegrin community. Today, this park and the trees we are planting symbolises the strong bond between our two nations. It is important to recognise the contribution the people of Montenegro have made to Australia, but more importantly to the Liverpool community. There has been a Montenegrin community in Liverpool since the 1800s. When they arrived here, they became involved in market gardening and other pursuits, adding to the vibrancy of our area. I'm very proud to be standing here today to mark this important anniversary, and thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Ware, much appreciated. I'd now like to invite Miss Anne Stanley to the lectern to say a few words. Thank you.
Can I start by acknowledging the traditional owners on the land on which we meet tonight and pay respects to elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge this was, is and always will be Aboriginal land. Can I acknowledge Jenny Ware, the member for Hughes, Paul Lynch, the member for Liverpool, and acknowledge his long service, but particularly his tenacity to make sure that this space finally happened 10 years ago. It seems like only a moment. I was lucky enough to be on council and to be part of the original dedication of this park, and your community, it took you a very long time to convince council that this was something that should happen and that people deserve to be, their contribution to our community and to Australia deserves to be recognised. It was really a joyous occasion 10 years ago when we had lunch. It was much hotter than today though, I seem to remember, but it was really wonderful. And the fact that we're rededicating it 10 years on is a testimony to the Montenegrin community's part in Liverpool and how wonderful you are and what a contribution you have made. It is simply amazing to be a Member of Parliament and share with so many communities in this part of the world your culture, your heritage. And can I particularly acknowledge Slobodan, who is such a friend of mine and so much of a support for everything that he's done, his conversations with me about your community and what this means to you. Have a really wonderful day and congratulations on 10 years.
Thank you, Miss Stanley. Now I'll bring it down. I'd like to invite Mr. Paul Lynch to the lectern to say a few words. Thank you.
Thanks, Alison. Can I commence by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, the Cabral clan of the Darug Nation, and pay my respects to their elders past and present. Can I also pay my respects to the elders of the other First Nations of this land. Can I acknowledge Anne Stanley, the member for Werriwa, Jenny Ware, the member for Hughes, Slobodan Lazovic, my mate and comrade, and in acknowledging him, can I acknowledge the Montenegrin Cultural and Arts Society, Nagosh, Sydney, which is, I think, the full title of the organisation. It's a delight to be here to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the establishment of the park, because 10 years is about how long it took us to get the council to agree to the bloody thing in the first place. It was an extraordinary political exercise, frankly, and the tenacity and struggle of Slobodan was central to getting this park established. I've been involved with this community in Slobodan for a very long time. We were talking with Carol North at the beginning of the function, and I think I first met in about 1986, and I've known him for that length of time. It's been a pleasure to have been involved with Slobodan and this community. Some of you will know I'm not nominating at the election in March, so after 28 years I've finally decided to stop running for Parliament. It's interesting to note that I think this is the last official function that I attend as a Member of Parliament, and there's a certain amount of delight that it's this community that I get to do the last function at. One of the reasons I've been involved with this community and a range of other communities is about the nature of contemporary Australia, and there's a bit of politics in establishing a park like this. It's about a declaration that it doesn't matter what your background is, you all get a fair share in this place. The history of Australia, for those of us that understand it, for the last 250 years has been of people being born somewhere else, coming to this place, making this place their home, being committed to here because this is their home, but remembering where they came from, celebrating their culture, celebrating their tradition, remembering where they're from. That is the core of contemporary Australia. And those conservative politicians that don't get that and think that all politicians should sound and look like me, they don't get our history. They don't get that if this country is as good a place in which to live as I think we all think it is, that's because of the contribution of people who've been born all around the world, who've been coming here, making this place their home, creating multicultural Australia. And that's the politics about this park. I mean, it's good to have a park, it's good to celebrate a community, but there's some real politics behind it. It's about the nature of contemporary Australia. The other great irony today, of course, is that there are no councillors here. Granted, it's a council event. There are two of them I can give apologies for. Charisma Calianda and Nathan Haggerty are both Labor candidates in the state election in a couple of weeks' time. Charisma's running for Liverpool to replace me. Nathan's running for Leppington. They're both at the Labor Party campaign launch this morning. For obvious reasons, that is where they had to be. But it's appropriate to acknowledge their absence and their apologies. Having said that, and harking back once again to multicultural Australia, as I've finished many speeches this way, one thing I've noticed about multicultural Australia and all the different communities, none of them like politicians who talk for too long. It's been a pleasure to be here. Have a great day.
Thank you, Mr. Lynch, and well done on your 28 years. I'm really happy for you. Really happy. That was great. So there's just another component now. I'm going to hand over to Slobodan, and he will announce a few other speakers, poets, etc. Nice car. It's their rubber. And also what we will do is walk over and have a tree planting, and we'll break out and have some lunch. So that will be the close. So we may as well close now after Slobodan. And also I would still like to thank our members of parliament for attending, all you beautiful people, and lunch has already just started and it looks absolutely fantastic. So handing over to Slobodan. There you are.
Thank you, Alison. Welcome you all. Thank you very much for coming with Jennifer this ball. And now I like to involve here to come Miss Carol North Samadrish to come here to say a few words. Yeah.
I should really say Dobar Dan because everybody knows that I'm Polish Nagorka and a little bit British and a lot of Australian. Dear friends and Montenegrins, I remember when the Montenegrin Cultural Arts Society Njegos began in the 1970s, so some of us have been around for a long time. At that time, many of the members were recent migrants and English was not their first language. At that time, I was accepted into the organisation, and over the years I've been able to affirm that Australia is home for everyone. Coupled with that, there is a fondness for looking backwards to a well-loved Montenegrin cultural heritage. For a small country, there is a rich cultural history for us to reflect on and to learn from. 10 years ago, when this park was named Montenegrin Park and dedicated to the achievements of Montenegrins in Australia, it was the culmination, as Paul has said, of many hours of collaboration. Many hours and many days and many weeks and many years. Yesterday, I reviewed the video of the opening ceremony. It was actually very rainy and we all had umbrellas and it was windy, but we were still here for the opening. And I'd like to acknowledge the work done by Judy Pack in helping us to secure the park. At the opening, Judy smiled with her husband and was delighted that we had our park. Judy is no longer with us, but who knows, she may be looking down on us today to see us all together and enjoying our park. Thank you, Judy, for your help so graciously given. Over the years, we've seen our young people grow as second and third generations Australians, and they continue to promote links with Gora. Today, I wish Njegos every success in the future and congratulate them on organising a picnic to allow us all to come together again to celebrate 10 years in our park. You can clap, that's a great idea. We are great ones, are we not, for a celebration, a bit of music and a lot of nice food and company. I live very close to the park, and I promise you I will watch over the trees that are planted today. I live and come up and down here nearly every day. Well, we have olive trees for peace and friendship, and we have an oak tree representing longevity, strength and endurance. Trees that are appropriate for Montenegrin Park. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Carol North is a Crnogorska English. Okay, I'm very happy today. I would like to welcome him, the exceptional social enthusiastic Mr. Momir Dasic. He could come from Adelaide, especially for this occasion here today. They can tell us a few words, and you're very welcome. Thank you.
His speech, so I'm still morning in Adelaide, but almost afternoon here. I bring you warm regards from Adelaide, from the Community Center of Serbia and Montenegro, SI Incorporated. I'm very proud today to be part of this celebration because members of our dear friend Slobodan Lazovic and his community has achieved something that many other communities with thousands of members couldn't. You have written the most beautiful page of Australian history where you actually saved thousands of Montenegrins being wiped out. Looking at this park, I can see my name, a name of 1,000 others written in the history of Australia. Montenegrins are small people, or not great number of the people, but very great in their achievements. Only recently they have celebrated 1,000 years of statehood. You can imagine 1,000 years having your own state, your language, and your religion. When I say I've seen my name and name of thousands, this speaks how this nation is great, where they didn't put us in the melting pot. They allow us to be individuals with our goodness and the badness, but they allowed us to become proud part of Australian nation. To add to it, I have to say what one of the greatest leaders of Montenegro did say in the 1840s. From the young shepherd, he grew to the great thinker, philosopher, poet, head of the Orthodox Church, and the statesman, Petar Petrovich Njegoš. When he visited St. Peter's Basilica, he was asked to kiss the chains by which St. Peter was tortured. He stood tall, and he was taller than 2 meters. And he said, I'm sorry that he was tortured, but people of Montenegro don't kiss the chains because they are symbol of the slavery. That speaks of Montenegrins. Beside all their physical strength, and now how they brought something that many other nations don't have, that's the love for freedom and dignity. Today, standing here, I can recognize some of those values in Australian character. Australia has become one of the most progressive and most tolerated nations, where 150 different nations speak one language and love one country. May I just share the little story from Adelaide. Here, Montenegrin community was working very hard to get recognize their work and their nation. In Adelaide, we have story where the Serbian and Montenegrin community works so hard to recognize one of your Sydneysiders, who fell in love with a Adelaide girl from the city of churches, moved his house, and little did he know, buying the beautiful home in the Woodville West, next to the Woodville West Reserve, he had a heaven on the earth. Little did he know that in the 60s, he'll have a neighbor soccer club, Beograd White City, which was established in 1949 by the Serbian and Montenegrin migrants. Hell broke loose. His corrugated iron was absolutely destroyed. His fence was falling down. Being of the Scottish origin and the rugby player, he was ready to buy a gun and start visiting his neighbors. One day he decided to visit his neighbors, and he was absolutely astonished how big welcome they showed to him. They gave him couple, please don't report us to the police, couple homemade brandies. Slivovic and all that, and good old Frank Mitchell became best friend of the Serbian soccer club White City Belgrade. They adopted him, and he adopted thousands of the children because he didn't have his own. He looked after Belgrade more than anyone else. He became our legend. My 2 boys played for that club, and to them he was everything in this world. He was accepted with the community that much that he was asked every week once to go to the different house for dinner. And he always loved the song, "Oh Danny Boy." Scottish, singing the Irish song. Maybe there is something. There is something there. Anyhow, to cut the story short, when he died, 202, members of the football club and members of the community lodged the petition to rename Woodville West Reserve to the Frank Mitchell Reserve. And same as Slobodan and his mates went through the hell and back, we've done the same thing, but after 7-8 years, we managed. So today, that beautiful Woodville West Reserve carries the name of Frank Mitchell. So we are very proud that we have achieved something not for member of our community, but member of Australian community who gave his life for us. And before he died, he gave his house and everything what he had, he transferred on the name of the Beograd White City. So that's the story that I wanted to share with you. And on the end, if you ever come to Adelaide, please visit one of the very proud and beautiful Australian home by name Community Centre Serbia and Montenegro. I always say when you are starting the community, leave the doors open. Leave the doors open for everyone to come in, and then we won't have a rogue elements which will one day attack us or our children. We should never allow communities to build the barbed wire around themselves. They have to be part of the mainstream. That's why we love this country and call Australia a home. Thank you.
Now, may I call Mr. Marko Jurisic? He can present some words about poet like Danilo Jovanovic, and he can call readers to that poet to come here to start that recital.
Danilo Jovanovic's individual contributions made him an exemplary citizen of this country. He spent 4 years in the Australian Army during World War II. He was musically talented, and at an early age he began to write with an interest in poetry. During the operations against the Japanese, he wrote the nostalgic poem Homeland Dreams, which he read to his fellow soldiers at a concert. There he also participated in a musical number. His expressions of devotion to Montenegro in his works are admirable, especially as he had never visited the country. He leaves a picturesque imprint of belonging to the people from whom his father originates, from where his roots are. This is especially noted in the poems Arise Ye Slavs and Ancestral Montenegro. In these he speaks of the land from where his father came and its history, which he probably heard only from his father or discovered in very meagre historical writings he found, with love and special warmth. Furthermore, in the poem Montenegro, he expresses a wish that one day he might see this eagle's nest, as he describes it, from whence his father came, the man he loves best. In the poem, My Father, he speaks of the great respect he has towards his father, emphasizing his connections to his ancestors from times past and the beginnings of his family tree. This poetry was crafted by a man who has never physically been in Montenegro, a place where, since his departure in 1903, his father never returned either. Now I'd like to call Ms. Gordana Papic to the lectern. Thank you.
Thank you. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I have the pleasure of reading the song Montenegro, or the poem Montenegro. My thoughts are never ever still, with imaginings they fill of a land of sun and snow, where I ever long to go, Montenegro. Rugged mountains, gnarled and old, carved a fortress strong and bold. battered back a foreign foe, where the rivers dance and flow, Montenegro. From that distant eagle's nest comes the man I love the best. No truer man on earth I know, through my veins his blood doth flow, Montenegro. My mother came from England ground, no fairer woman can be found. Nature did on her bestow beauty that will ever grow, Montenegro. Crna Gora, land of fame, I'm part of thee in soul and names. On Lorchen's peaks where breezes blow, my heart is wandering to and fro, Montenegro. Restless is this heart of mine, chained by gifts, 'twill ever pine, till I smash the throngs and go to the land of sun and snow, Montenegro.
Thank you, Gordana. Now I'd like to call up Radovan Kilibadra to the lectern. Thank you.
Thank you. This poem is called My Father. My father. Blended with a foreign soil, bereft of pain, strife and toil. Never more in life to see, the only man, all man to me. My father. Born mid mountains tall and strong, ever sang of freedom's song. Walked with justice, truth and pride, never faltered in his stride. My father. Born of noble blood, his birth in Crna Gora, God's free earth. Free of avarice and shame, and I'm proud to bear his name. My father. Prince Marko Drakulovic's clan fought for brotherhood of man. 18 dukes, all tried and true. In my veins, the blood flows blue. My father. Fought against aggression's blast, at the front was never last. And his health by war impaired, for all creeds of man he cared. My father. Kindly firm, someone to trust, bereft of slander's shallow rust. And I weep from above the form that sheltered me through calm and storm. My father. Thank you.
Thank you, Rade. Now I'd like to call up Mia Zingeni to the lectern, please.
This poem is called Australia, also by Danilo Jovanovic. In this southern land, Australia, where the magpies carol sweetly, where the bush with her regalia captivates the heart completely. Sunrise comes with colours spreading, majestically with gentle passion, where the springtime, softly treading, weaves her brush in joyful fashion. Rugged mountains, gnarled and hoary, cool and pleasant in the summer, standing massive in their glory, welcoming the weary comer. Waterfalls in sparkling splendour, spilling white foam to the valley, gathering the water's wender, verdant vales to the coast to sally. Autumn, calm, the start of barking, and like snakes that shed their coating, forest giant in manner carking, cast their bark, floor forest floating. Forest rafters green and spacious, cathedral-like in natural shaping, elegantly clean and gracious over all, their colours draping. In this country, lone, appealing, where the kookaburra's laughter chuckles with a joyous feeling from some distant forest rafter. In the highland winter sketches eurythmic forms in ice and snow, and the morning sunlight stretches over all, a golden glow. In this land, the land I cherish, where the shaggy bush waits for me, when I die, I will not perish, but be tombed in earth that bore me. Thank you.
Thank you. They were absolutely wonderful poems, and I have never heard them before, but they were fabulous. Now, the last part will be the tree planting, and everyone will break out for lunch. We do have sunscreen on the table. The trees are just to your left, so if we'd like to all walk over, and with our members of parliament, we'll have a nice group photo. Yeah? Okay, let's go. Put your hats on, sunscreen.